Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all this evening. We're going to go ahead and get our program started. If you didn't get a agenda, there's one outside, but hopefully everyone is safe. I see some ball players in here. Hopefully this weather doesn't impact ball players outside. I'm scheduled to go to a Yankees game, Boston Red Sox game on Sunday. We'll see how that goes, but they've already delayed and canceled some games, so hopefully I'll get to make and see a little baseball. But we'll go ahead and get our meeting started here. And again, welcome. I'll start if Mr. Hinkle would mind giving us an invocation. After his invocation, I will ask everyone to stand as we recite our pledge. But at this time, we'll ask Mr. Hinkle to give us an invocation.
We'll bow our heads for a minute, please. Lord, we ask your blessings and countenance upon this meeting this evening. We ask that what is discussed and decided is pleasing in your sight. We ask that these ball players with us tonight, that they relish in their victory as champions of this year's baseball season in their league in middle school, and we thank them for their efforts in this regard, and we are blessed that we are able to honor them tonight. Please be with those infirmed and bring them back to good health, and also that you be with us all, and anything that you feel we need that we have not asked in this blessing, please grant to us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hinkle, and your participation. At this time, I'll ask council, you've got your agendas in front of you. Is there any adjustments to tonight's agenda? Staff? No. Thank you. At this time, I'll accept the motion to adopt our agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion is made, received a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. We've got 3 sets of minutes, the approval for an elevation for Curtis Dental, as well as the approval for elevation for O'Reilly Auto Parts, a budget amendment, 2022-2023 budget amendments, the Town of Troutman schedule of fees changes, as well as the adoption of the American Rescue Plan resolutions, and there's several of those. We also have a water and wastewater improvement projects that is associated with the American Rescue Plan dollars, and lastly, a resolution also focused on the American Rescue Plan fund grants. We also have a hearing date that's set up for July 13th, an annexation request, and we've got the adoption of 2 policies, one on annexation and water and sewer service. Council, you have the listing of our consent items. These items will be approved with one motion unless requested by a council member or staff. Is there a motion regarding our consent items?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is made, received a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. The next item is recognitions and presentations. The first is our Town of Troutman Employee of the Month, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. At this time, I'll ask Chief Watson to come up, as it's one of his employees that we will be recognizing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all tonight? Since we started the Employee of the Month program, I have not yet nominated anybody because I think right now we have some of the best police officers that have ever worked here. Every one of them works extremely hard. So to sit and say this one person stands out more than the other is something very hard to choose. Every one of them every day goes above and beyond what they're expected to do. So I decided I got tired of Public Works and Parks and Rec getting all the glory. So I decided to nominate Officer Logan Rocco for the Employee of the Month. When Officer Rocco came here, he had prior experience. And since coming here, he's consistently goes out and works. He's very proactive. So if he's not answering calls, he's either stopping vehicles, finding stolen vehicles, warning people, narcotics, stolen firearms, impaired drivers. He also does a lot of going through the neighborhoods and talking to residents when they're out. When we have community events that happen on the weekends, to avoid pulling people from patrol, we'll ask for volunteers to come in and help provide it. And if Logan's off, he's always volunteered. For the month of May, I think he did 2 or 3 Saturdays that he was off that he came in and worked and was at community events. So I'd like to recognize Officer Logan Rocco as the Town of Troutman Employee of the Month.
Hold on.
You gotta get your picture.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Please. Mr. Mayor and Council, as Officer Rocco is walking back to his seat, I would just like to say I've never called him Rocco until today. It's always been Rucco and a transplant. But he, as the chief said, he has excelled, and I'm not going to step over what he said because it was definitely appropriate. I appreciate all the jobs that the officers are doing, but Officer Rocco has definitely stood out of late.
Thank you. Thank you, Officer Rocco. Appreciate you serving our community and keeping us all safe. So thank you. And with your fellow officers, sounds like you're an asset to our town, and we appreciate it. So thank you. The next item on our agenda is recognition of our Troutman Middle School baseball tournament champs. I'll turn it over to Ms. Watson.
Mr. Mayor, I will begin, and then Emily will pick up with all the things I leave off. I would just like to say I'm proud of these young men and their coaches and the school. It's not been that many years ago. This was just considered an after-school activity in a club, and I was fortunate. One of these young players on the team, a family member of his, helped me, and we coached when it was really ragtag baseball, and it was more of a club event. But Coach Miller and the others have definitely took these young men in a short few years, and these guys have done a wonderful job and played with dignity and character this year, and I'm very pleased that they won the championship. Also, the former principal's son was the water boy on the team. Bryson did his share. I'll turn it over to Emily Watson to finish.
We are honored to recognize this group tonight, and the coaches are with us this evening. I'll let them speak to their specific stats, and we do have a roster that we'd like to recognize each member of the team, so if you all will come up and come stand up here too, we'd like to be able to see your faces, and the group would like to get a picture too, so you all come on up. I don't know how you want to follow up, but come up here, and then the coaches will call your names as well, and we also want to recognize the coaches. This team is led by Chad Milliron, Jimmy Donaldson, Dylan Donaldson, Jimmy Mattingly, who couldn't be with us tonight, and Kevin McDowell.
I think the mayor has a couple things to present as well.
All right, we're going to recognize these guys today. We're going to start just in the order that they're on here. We got Luke Cannon. He's a sixth grader for us. Tristan Collins not here today. He's out of town. He's a seventh grader for us. You'll hear a lot of young guys. We only have 3 eighth graders this year, but that means good things to come. Ty Hutchins, number 4. You can raise your hand. My guy still, Millern, number 5. Bryson McLean, number 6. Jacob Long, number 8. Brendan Blankenship, number 9. Blake McDowell, he's one of our 8th graders. Number 11. Connor Huey, 12. He's another 8th grader. We got Jackson Watts, he's a 7th grader. Number 14. Connor Michelle is not here today. He's another one of our 8th graders. He was number 21. Mason Pennell is 22. And last but not least, Bryson Pasley, number 23.
The water boy.
I guess I'll talk for most of them. I'm going to talk about Jimmy Donaldson first. Jimmy and I have been coaching football together, 15 years or so? This guy was in diapers, I think, whenever he first came to me. He said, my sons are coming through here. I want to come and help build a program here. So both of those guys went to high school. And last year I had to get some guys together to come out and help me rate all the guys coming in, so forth. Called Jimmy Mattingly back. Blake's dad, Kevin over there, said he helped as much as he could. So we kind of brought everybody together, and they said, Coach, we're not only going to be here for tryouts, but we're going to give you all the time that we have. Dylan played for me, football, baseball, came back to give back. That's what it's about, giving back. So this was his first year with us, and all the other guys abused him whenever he showed up. Coaches, I mean, and made him go coach first base, because they know Coach Miller's always on third base. So they would always say, hey, is Dylan coming today? Dylan coming today? So Dylan could go out there. But he's been an asset for us because he talks to the boys and said, hey, Coach Miller's not mad at you. He's making you better. That's what it's about. He's here because the program he went through. And that's what it's about. This is a special group, guys. They scored 139 runs this year and gave up 32. Eight of those in one game, I don't think we showed up for. Do we agree? But at Troutman, we don't lose, we learn. So overall, we went 11-1 and 1. So we had one tie. The umpires walked out on us and just left us at a 6-6 tie up at the field. So we just went with it, and we just continue to move on. And we persevered. These guys have no quit in them. I coach them hard. They know it because I want what's best for them. I'm not chasing wins anymore. I'm chasing for these guys. It's funny, as soon as we were done with the championship game, we're all getting together. And Jimmy Donaldson said, Coach Miller said, there's going to be one team that beats you this year, and it's yourselves. And we'd let that happen once. And then we came back and we beat Lakeshore. But proud of these guys, a bunch of young guys. I'm going to miss the guys that have been with me. Blake's been with me for 3 years. His brother's coming in next year to pick up the strings of where we left off. But we have a good core group of guys, and that's what you need to be successful. They hold each other accountable. They all know that we have standards that we need to meet or exceed. They're not allowed to mess around at school. They're changing the culture of what's going on at Troutman Middle School. This is the group that's in charge of that. Okay? So they mean the world to me. I tell them every single day that I love them. Sorry. But they're just a special group. They're going to be young men, and that's what I'm worried about. Okay? They're all going to be better baseball players for being with me, but most of all, better men. This guy sent me a letter the other day. This guy sent me a letter the other day. Thank you for everything you did, but most of all, thank you for making me a better person. So that's what it means to us as we come through here. We appreciate everybody being here. We appreciate you guys having us. The parents that I have are outstanding. They're just as good as the kids that I have. I have all these parents out there. If I need gutters put up, if I need something moved, if I need something taken care of, if I need a new mound put together, whatever it is, these guys, they come out, we work on the fields together, we take care of what we need to. So it's truly a family as you come through here. So it takes a village. My village is here. My village is here. So we appreciate everything you guys have done for us. I've always been in touch with Duck. I have a close relationship with Emily now, coming through. But we all got a lot of good things happening at Troutman right now. These guys should be proud. So, you have anything, Jimmy?
You got a lot to do with this group.
Coach, if you will have the players come by, I think the mayor's,
Gonna take a
Can I
quick
get a
photo.
picture while they're gathering?
I want to spread them out a little
Can the
bit.
first six kneel, the front six kneel?
You see the coaches?
Can the coaches, get in between people?
No, yeah, one, two.
So I see all the faces?
You want to smile
Can you come over just a little bit? This, yeah, right there, there you go. I can't see you.
or not? You see me?
Coach, I can't see you. There you go. Okay. My camera doesn't like the uniforms.
Stop from having to come on through.
Here, they got something for you. Thank y'all so much for coming.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
what a boy.
Before everyone leaves, I do want to say baseball in this town means a lot. And so as we've, worked with a number of residents in the town, we've got some great fields. Our Parks and Rec team and the staff have tried to help encourage baseball in this town. And so, again, good to see that you all have really grown into a team, unlike what our manager used to coach, and probably now we see why you can win a championship. But again, we've got some good coaches out there, and we really appreciate what you all do for the young men. I like what Coach Milliron said, we don't lose, we learn. And I think that's important for you all young men. It was impressive just to see you come around. Nice firm handshake, looking people in the eye. I think he's taught you a lot, and please take that with you for you eighth graders to your next level. And again, we appreciate all that the coaching staff has done and the parents to make sure these young men continue to be an asset to our community. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I think some of them's got some places to go. If we could take a moment to allow those to leave that needs to go.
Absolutely.
So Connor, also in the pool. How you like that new job?
We're getting there.
Thank you.
They keep people coming? In their group.
This no reflection on you, Ms. Hicks. But the next item on our agenda is our standing quarterly reports. And we'll start with Ms. Hicks with the Troutman, J. Hort Hayes Memorial Troutman Library.
No, we're boring, but God. Let's see. I won't bore you with a lot of statistics, but I do want to tell you that in the past 2 months, we've had over 10,000 people in and out of our doors at the library, and that's a lot of people. And our checkouts, or what you call a circulation there, of course, our numbers are less than Statesville because they're much bigger than we are. However, our increases, our percentage of increases is still double the percentage of increase in Statesville. So that's a good thing. We're getting ready to start our big summer reading program. And on there you see the Big Bang Boom. We're going to have that on June the 12th. It's a kids band. I've never heard them, but everybody says they're great. There's some comedian or something out there named Ben Folds. I don't know if you ever, the Ben Folds 5 or something like that. Anybody's ever heard of him? I've never heard of him, but it's his brother. Anyway, it's supposed to be really good. Free to anybody who wants to come at 1 o'clock on that day. So it's at the library. Anybody can come. And let's see what else. Okay. Oh, up there in the corner, there's this piece of artwork. It's on a wooden, big piece of wood that the Troutman Friends of the Library had donated to them from a local artist here in Troutman, that she painted that. And that is the most precise little painting you've ever seen. And they're going to raffle it off to try to raise some money for the library to help offset the cost of some of our programs. So if you want to see it, if you don't want to buy a ticket, that's fine. The tickets are $5, 5 for 20. But anyway, you should come by the library and check that thing out because it is beautiful. We're going to have a lot of programs going on this summer with the summer reading. The theme for summer reading is called All Together Now, which was an extremely difficult topic for us to come up with decorations. They said things like community and kindness and friendship, and you can't decorate with that stuff. I'm sorry. There's only but so much stuff you can do with that. So the Statesville Library decided that we would all go groovy and hip, and so we're kind of turned it into the 60s. And we'll be tie-dyeing shirts next Saturday, not this week, but next Saturday. So, you know, come by and get a shirt tie-dyed. We're going to have programs for the kids on Thursdays at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and then we'll have stuff for the teens on Fridays. There'll be adult programs. We're also going to have a special program with someone coming to teach people about beekeeping and seed starting for the adults and kids. There's also going to be a visit by the Sheriff's Department, Allison's Woods, and the Iredell County Animal Services is going to come too. So We also are going to have a program, we're doing like an adult book called Step It Up and Go, and it's about music in North Carolina and how it all got started and everything. So the Troutman Library Pickers, if any of you are familiar with them, that come on Monday nights and play anyway, headed up by David Salibi, they are going to come and do a little performance for the people who are doing the book club, but for anybody to come the night before we actually have the book club discussion. And then at the end of ours, even though it's end of summer reading, even though it's a long way off, but it'll be the end of July, we're going to have what's known as Big Rig Day. And with Parks and Rec's help, we're going to be down there, and we're going to have lots of big kind of emergency medical, or all sorts of different kind of like trucks and equipment and stuff for the kids to touch and, you know, be around and not be scared of. And other than that, we're all just working hard and doing the best we can. We're about to bust out of our seams, but we're getting there. And that's about it.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hicks? Is there a thought on the expansion of the
My
library?
thoughts on the expansion?
Yes.
Could we had it yesterday? We desperately need it. Like these programs that we'll be doing this summer and that band concert. There's the big band. We have to do all of our programs in the very middle of the library. And we do have people in there, you know, all the time, either studying or trying to read, tutor sessions, what have you. And when you have a program in there, especially with the kids, it's loud. I mean, it just is. And it's kind of like defeating the purpose that we're a library, if you know what I'm saying. And that's hard. And we really could use this program room that they're wanting to build on to expand, but also would give us a little bit of storage and stuff like that, which would really help. We are busting at the seams, but we don't want to give everything to Statesville because we still want to have what we need here in Troutman to serve Troutman. We love this little library. I want it to continue to have the small town feel, but at the same token, it does need to grow.
Okay, great.
So,
All right,
yeah.
thank you. All right. Thanks again, Ms. Hicks. Next item on our agenda is old business. And we will consider approval of an economic development agreement between the town of Troutman and the Troutman Logistics Venture LLC and Troutman Logistics LLC. This time I'll turn it to Mr. Wyatt.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, we have had similar agreements before. You all have this information in your packet. I'll turn it over to Gary to assist me if you all have any specific questions.
I brought my whole new law firm here with me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. You brought the people that will know. I got you. I got it.
Answer any questions if you have.
Any questions for Mr. Wyatt or Mr. Thomas? Okay. If not, then I'll accept the motion to approve the agreement between the town of Troutman, Troutman Logistics Venture, and Troutman Logistics LLC. Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion, sir.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Motion is made, received a second. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. The next item is new business, and we'll start with our fiscal year 2023-24 town budget. I will now open this public hearing and turn it over to our finance director, Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. At this time, I'll turn it over to the town manager for the town manager's budget message.
Okay.
Justin helped me send you all a copy of this a couple days ago. The public is not familiar. I will read it if it's okay with you. The town of Troutman's annual budget by its process is to some a terribly stressful time. Each department director is taxed with having to review all their department's factors, including past, current, and future expected demands. They will then review my directives as town manager and wish list from those in our community who want more. More is not just a lovely items of I'm sorry, I butchered that sentence. More is not just lovely items or a wish list. More to some is an improvement in the quality of life we all desire. So adding park amenities do just that for many. Adding to the greenways for walking, running, and bike riding exercise is another excellent example for many others. Ensuring we have enough staff to handle citizens' needs and issues is definitely a great example. Former United States Secretary Jacob, or as we call him, Jack Lew, of the Treasury said, "The budget is not just a collection of numbers, but an expression of our values and aspirations." I am pleased to work with such an incredible group of employees that understand our small town way of life. They also understand we are a growing town. They wear multiple hats, doing more than just their assigned job duties to ensure Troutman is the best place to live, work, and play. I will tender our 2023-2024 fiscal year budget to you with this explanation. There is no fanfare or hidden items. This budget will have an increase of approximately 50% over the accepted budget of last year. General fund is increasing by around 48% for several reasons. The main reason is that $1.275 million is being saved for a future town hall, and $125,000 will be appropriated for a new town hall plan. This accounts for half of the increase in the general fund. The other half of growth is due mainly to an increase in personnel in the police department and the Parks and Recreation Department, and admin department to keep up with the town's needs as the town grows. With this budget, we recommend a tax rate decrease of 2 cents per $100 assessment. Our budget proposal will result in a current tax rate of a flat 0.50 cents per $100 assessed. As part of the as part of the reevaluation process, we must publish the revenue neutral rate. The net revenue neutral rate that would produce the same tax levy as the prior year, adjusted for annual growth, is the tax base. The town's revenue neutral tax rate was calculated to be 0.37. The proposed tax rate of 0.50 is recommended with the budget to plan for our future needs of the town, such as a new town hall. The utility fund budget is increasing by approximately 53%. This is mainly due to a budgeted increase in additional sewer capacity that is anticipated to be needed, and an increase in water rates that the town is also charged. Also, with the town's growth, the volume of water and sewer expenditures increases, along with the increased cost of supplies and equipment needed to maintain the water and the sewer department. This budget proposal will leave current water and sewer rates for citizens intact this year. We continue to benefit from the unprecedented growth, residentially and commercially. We are aware of the future demands that growth places on staff to provide services our current residents are used to receiving. We have made necessary additions to the team in the planning department, for example, just to meet those demands. That would be the code enforcement specific. We have also increased full and part-time staff in Parks and Rec as that facility continues to be built methodically per the master plan. The police department is also gaining staff positions. In addition, we are adding admin positions to provide passports, but that will also produce a revenue stream for the town. We are then better prepared to serve the citizens by having a backup clerk and/or utility department persons ready to fill in as needed. Last year, we reached out to various consultants and experts. We began moving forward immediately to ensure our infrastructure was being added appropriately and upgraded as necessary to handle our water and wastewater needs. The Public Works Department continues to provide excellent service in return for our actual cost. We are, however, adding significant pieces of equipment again this year that will cost just under $275,000. We have budgeted appropriately to maintain the required services, yet knowing we are growing. We are still playing catch-up in certain areas, however. We are mindful that previous patches to the town-owned parking lots got us some needed time, but they need replacement. We will continue making necessary street repairs and replacements and have those items in our budget proposal as well. We will continue growing our Troutman ESC Park per previously approved plans. The budget also includes funds to finish funding a needed concession stand and restroom facility at the baseball, softball fields area. We have and will continue to make necessary upgrades to the landscaping around the new amenities. We would like to add more structures for picnic areas. This will be subject to the specific projects being on budget or less. We continue to add to our streetscape all over town. The security of our citizens is not only a statutory obligation, but our priority. The Troutman Police Department is growing in needed personnel. We have purchased vehicles as we could locate them this past year due to the scarcity of patrol vehicles. We continue providing the needed training and getting appropriate certifications for officers to perform their duties more proficiently. We, however, are out of space for our police. We have insufficient locations for evidence storage as officers continue making more arrests. Also, officers need more room to perform their admin duties and training in a suitable environment. We continue to plan for growth by adding properties. We need some of them for space to continue serving our citizens until a new town hall is built. But others we have purchased so that the town can be revitalized in the downtown area and be prepared for future growth there. The town adopted that plan for growth back in 2016 and 17. Also, future streets coming from development will require additional liability to the town for maintenance and repair. We are planning appropriately. This budget allows us to continue properly serving the citizens with as little cost as possible. More importantly, it is reflective of our team's dedication to performing frugally and proficiently for each taxpayer. It also allows us to continue preparing for our future needs. I will reiterate my closing statement of last year as it still remains true. It is not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results, by Warren Buffett. That quote exemplifies our staff members and their dedication and job performance. Thank you, Mayor and members of council. We appreciate you providing us with the necessary funding to continue serving our town relevantly.
Thank you. Any questions for our manager or our finance director?
I'd just like to add a couple of things that, for the public, is that we need to stress that this is a decrease in our tax rate of 2 cents from where it was. And that, along with what the county gave of 4 cents, is going to be 6 cents decrease. However, the increase of your property taxes, it was an assessment that had nothing to do with this town. It was part of, done by the county as a 4-year rate. We also had over 50% of our income, this new increase in the budget, is from new homes and industry that's come to this town. We have to provide for those areas as well as we do for the contiguous areas of the town. We got to be able to assess those. So some of the equipment people see is because of the need to address a lot of areas of growth. And I don't think people understand it. When I was talking to different ones last couple of days, it's like those that are complaining are actually getting a decrease, except for the value of their properties. That's because people have decided to willing to pay more for a house than what I was willing to. But we can't help that. But we got to use those things to make our town grow. And to build a new town hall was a definite thing we had to do to increase in this budget.
May I address Mr.
Yes.
Harris's comments?
Yes, please.
I appreciate your comments, and absolutely further explanation was needed to some of those that may be viewing out there. I agree with everything you said. I would just like to add that the county changed from their old way of market values to now what is supposed to be the current market value, and that had nothing to do with our town also. As far as, well, if we got all this extra money, why? As I stated in the address to you all, we have had plans for a while. Mayor Pro Tem Hinkle can tell you there have been great laid plans in his 33rd year of serving. The problem with majority of those plans, there was never enough money to follow through with them. Even this town hall here, when it was originally built, within 8 years, they was already having to go back to the drawing board and add on to it because it lacked sufficient space. We are budgeting and saving for things that we know are going to be an expense for the future, such as town hall, refurbishing this current location to be a standalone police department. And those things, if we gave more back in taxes now, then that would only turn into an increase in taxes in the future, plus a higher loan rate that may be available at the time. Instead of saving money now that we hope, if saved and planned appropriately, taxes still won't have to go up in 4 years. If we didn't do it that way, we certainly would have had to increase to what they are today, but also more for the future because we wouldn't have any savings to start from.
One other thing I'd like to add is, and that was a response to another call I'd gotten, that while they might think they're seeing a lot of newer trucks, we have not changed our policy on replacing vehicles. It's still at around 100,000 miles, we start getting rid of them and get new ones.
Well-
But some of them, because of the market was not available, we ended up with some of them newer that stayed longer. But I said, we haven't changed our policy at all, but we have increased our number of people, which requires us to increase the number of vehicles. And because we travel further outside of the city limits to like Sutter's Mills and some of the other places, we had to get better equipment to handle that road.
And again, to add to that, you're correct. But one of the things I will say that's also part of our policy is it would be ignorant to have a policy that says don't sell a vehicle until it's 100,000 miles if you're spending $3,000 to $4,000 a year on it to keep it running. So we also, as part of our policy, once vehicles start costing us money to keep them in service and repairs, that may also be the time to release it. In addition, we have had unusual market conditions, and I will just reiterate for those that's out there that have seen new UTV type vehicles, I will go to one that we had in Public Works that was bought 2014, I think it was, and we used it for several years until last year, but because of what we as staff saw was happening in the marketplace, we was able to order our first one for Parks and Rec at a cost of a little over $17,000. Based off of what that was, I think the first one took us 3 months to get. I asked you all to allow me to list the one we had on Marketplace for sale, and quite frankly, there was nothing wrong with it. However, it was an old unit that at some point in time may start needing repairs and brakes. We put it on Gov Deals. It actually brought $500 more than we paid for it, and we was able to buy a brand new one to replace it for just $1,600 more. And I tender to the public that we as staff and you all as council have certainly supported those situations. Not only that, but a John Deere tractor that we had that was 6 years old, we sold it and its bush hog for more money than what the town paid for it. So it was time to sell and or upgrade some equipment. Even though new equipment costs more money, that price is not going to go down whether it be 2 years or 4 years. And if you can upgrade a 6 to an 8-year-old piece of equipment at little to minimum cost, that makes perfect sense to most people to go ahead and do that at the time instead of waiting till it breaks and then it's not worth anything.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
I'm sorry, I was
Go
just gonna say, you know, I agree wholeheartedly with what I'm hearing. You know, this budget is a good budget. It's a sound budget. It meets the needs of this town, this growing town, and what it takes to keep this town operational in an efficient, well-oiled way, shall I say. It's being managed well, as you can hear, and unfortunately, the needs of these, we've been kicking the can down the road on some of the capital needs in this town that have to be addressed now. We cannot continue to kick them down the road. That doesn't mean we're going to start turning dirt tomorrow, but at least we're going to start saving until that time that we can economically, that makes sense, start turning dirt and building a new town hall, revitalizing, or not revitalizing, but remodeling, refurbishing other buildings in town, which is what we're doing right now and continue to do to provide space so that these people working at town hall can at least work in an environment where they can turn around without bumping into someone else and breathe. So, you know, we are planning ahead. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not aware of this, you know, and they don't realize that, you know, when you flush that toilet, turn that water spigot on, and all the other needs that go along with this town that people appreciate, you know, the good roads, good town roads, that takes money. And if you're not creating a budget that will plan and pay for those things, you can be very disappointed down the road, and then you're going to know why. Yeah, so we're trying to avoid that, and we're trying to do it in a responsible manner. And again, I applaud this budget. I pay taxes like everyone else, but I know the needs that are out there, and they're going to cost money. It's bottom line, money, money, and as town manager mentioned, a lot of these things have been kicked down the road over a number of years for that very reason, because the money was not there. And on our own, and with help from state government, shall I say, in the county in some cases, you know, we're able to start doing some of these things that have been put off, unfortunately. But we're beginning to do them now, and we're going to complete them as necessary, and they're necessary now, but as they become vitally necessary, such as I say, giving our staff, to me, that's one key thing, room to work, ample room to work, to where they can be efficient. When you're like mice in a cage, you know, running into each other, you just cannot do a very good job every day. Come to work with a smile, leave with a smile. You know, these are things that providing good working conditions will help with, and boost morale, et cetera, et cetera. So, again, I applaud this budget, and that it handles the needs of this town now and going into the future. No fat. What's there is needed, and let's do it now, and no more kicking the can down the road.
Any other questions or comments for staff? Okay. Anyone here from the public like to comment? Okay. Hearing none, then I'll, at this time, I will close this public hearing. I too would like to thank staff for all their time and efforts in putting together this budget. I appreciate the citizens who also provided input through the process and gave us both staff and council feedback on the future needs of our community. I think, you know, we heard everything from you know, upgrading our equipment to trying to consider a reduction in our tax increase. Some of those folks aren't here tonight, but we heard them. And I'd like to say that, again, you know, everything from prices going up due to inflation, and the fact that staff was able to present a budget where we can save for our future needs in the town, as well as providing some relief to our citizens, our residents, I think is important. So again, thank the staff for providing their needs and what made sense for our community. So again, thank you for that. With that, council, we will now consider approval of ordinance 1723, titled Town of Troutman Fiscal Year 2023-2024 Budget Ordinance. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor. The approval of the ordinance 1723 titled Town of Troutman FYI 2023-24 Budget Ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any
Mr.
other
Mayor.
question or comment?
Let's close the public hearing first.
He did.
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Is there any other question or comment? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. The next item is the consideration of approval of audit contract with Thompson Price, Scott and Adams, fiscal year '24. Mr. Mundi?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So it's staff recommendation that we proceed with the fiscal year 24, or I'm sorry, fiscal year 24 audit contract with Thompson Price, Scott and Adams. They were the same firm that did our audit for last year. And so we would like to recommend that we proceed with the contract with them again.
Great. Any questions for our finance director? Okay. Is there a motion to approve our audit contract with Thompson Price, Scott and Adams for fiscal year '24?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion. We approve the audit contract with Thompson Price, Scott, and Adams for fiscal year 2024.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any question or comment? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. The next item on our agenda is a text amendment, case number TA 2307. The text amendment to the UDO, recommendation amending Articles 9.4.2 and 9.10, requiring planning board review of development agreements. I will now open this public hearing. Turn it over to Ms. Hare.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a request for a text amendment. It's being requested by staff. We are asking that you all consider amending the UDO, specifically Articles 9.4.3 and 9.10, that would remove language that requires the planning board review development agreements. There's a specific state statute, NCGS 160D 1001, that talks about or gives the ability of towns and jurisdictions to enter into development agreements with developers. And in that legislation, basically, it was written so that councils have the authority to negotiate these contracts. However, our current UDO has language in there that includes the planning board as a reviewing body on a development agreement, which is not what the state statute says, and how those are supposed to be processed. So we're just asking that that language be removed from our ordinance. This has gone before the planning board. They did recommend approval. The language is highlighted in red that we are requesting be stricken in section 9.4.2. Talks about concept plan review and process. There's a section there that talks about the development agreements being reviewed by planning board. And then in Article 9.10.3 A and B, that's where we specifically talk about the development agreement process. We would just remove the language there also that talks about the planning board being involved in that process. Staff is recommending approval as well as the planning board. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address those.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hare regarding this text amendment? Okay. Anyone from the public would like to comment on this text amendment? Okay. If not, I will close this public hearing. Council, you've heard from Ms. Hare regarding this text amendment, ensuring that we're complying with North Carolina General Statutes. We will now consider approval of ordinance 1823, titled "An Ordinance Amending the Town of Troutman Unified Development Ordinance." Is there a motion?
Make that motion, sir.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. The next item is a statement
Mayor?
of consistency.
Sorry for interrupting. If you will, go back to item number 18.
Okay.
Uh, That was listed as 2024 in error. Of course, the audit that we need performed is for fiscal year ending in 2023. So if Gary thinks you all need to address that, but to go into approval audit contract with Thomas Price and Scott for the fiscal year 2022 ending 2023, not 2024.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go back to that item just a moment. Council, to finish 19, we will consider a statement of consistency. If you would, please read the statement in full regarding that text amendment.
I make a motion regarding consistency of this action, that is text amendment, that this text amendment is consistent with the 2018 strategic plan and the Unified Development Ordinance and reasonable and in public interest, as it would bring the current language addressing the approval of development agreements into alignment with state statute 160D-1001.
Okay, great. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion is made regarding our statement of consistency. Received a second. Any question or comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. If we would go back up to item 18, the motion was to approve the audit contract for Thompson Price, Scott and Adams for fiscal year 24, but that should be 23.
Yes, sir.
I'll correct that motion.
Okay. Motion was made by Mr. Harris. He's asking that we correct the date on that for fiscal year 23. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion is made, received a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is to consider an appointment of an ETJ, extraterritorial jurisdiction alternate to the Town of Troutman Planning and Zoning Board for a 3-year term. The term expires, the current term expires 6/16/23, so this is filling that alternate appointment. Council, we discussed this on Monday night. Is there a motion regarding the alternate?
Mayor, I will make the motion that we appoint for approval by the commissioners, I hope I'm wording that correctly, that we appoint Ms. Camille Leahy and recommend her to the county commissioners for hopefully their appointment as an alternate ETJ member of the Troutman Planning and Zoning Board for the next 3 years, term expiring 6/16/2020. Term expires 6/16/23, and then 3 years going forward.
Okay.
For that point.
A motion is made for a recommendation for the appointment of the ETJ alternate position for Ms. Camille Leahy. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Motion received a second. Any question or other comment? Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Okay. Next item is to consider a fee in lieu of sidewalk on Georgie Street for Brookside Development. Turn that over to Ms. Hare. And let me back up before you go, Ms. Hare. Mr. White, I didn't know if you wanted to comment on that item or not.
No, sir.
The prior item.
No, sir. I was clarifying with the clerk that was confused.
Okay, great. All right. Next item is the fee in lieu of sidewalk on Georgie Street. Ms. Hare?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our UDO has some language in it that allows a developer to pay what's called a fee in lieu for sidewalks. I have the language there on your screen, and it's in the packet. It basically says that a payment in lieu of can be provided for any sidewalk or greenway segment. And that in order to do this, that the developer would have to provide the town with a cost estimate for the sidewalk, and then the town's engineers would approve that. D.R. Horton is requesting this fee in lieu this evening for a sidewalk that was required as a condition of zoning for the Brookside development. The sidewalk in question is to be placed on the west side of Georgie Street between Massey and Elliott. The applicant's request is based on the existing topography of the homeowners' front yards. Along Georgie, there's a slope there, coupled with the grading necessary to construct the sidewalk, which would significantly impact owners' yards. That is the applicant's reason for requesting this fee in lieu of this evening. I provided you all with a copy of the cost estimate that was submitted by D.R. Horton. This was sent to our engineers. It was reviewed. There were a couple of back and forths on some of these, but the final estimate was $86,515.34. And again, this was reviewed and approved by our engineers. Staff does have a couple comments and recommendations. We are concerned with the timing of construction of the sidewalk. Anytime we decide to accept a fee in lieu of, what we're saying is that the town will take on the responsibility for building the sidewalk. So whenever we're looking at accepting funds, we have to take into consideration, when will the sidewalk be built? Will it be a year? Will it be 3 years? And is that amount of money going to be enough to cover that construction? I want to point out, too, that when we do accept these funds, we're putting the town in the position of constructing the sidewalk, as well as not just construction, but acquiring the right-of-way. So this is something to be considered when making these decisions. We also do have the option, I want to point out, of accepting the funds, if that's what you all do decide to do, and using the money in a different location. But I do want to point out that this particular sidewalk was part of the approval for the conditional zoning for Brookside, so it was a commitment that the developer made. There is some language in there that gives us as a town and you as council some flexibility on that. It was saying basically if the right-of-way existed that they would build. So there is some flexibility. But I just wanted to point these things out. I also wanted to comment that the manager and I went out and looked at the property, looked at the area where the sidewalk was to be built. We have a contractor that we use with the town for paving and sidewalk projects, and we asked that group to give us an estimate on what they thought it would cost to build that sidewalk there in real dollars. And we are still waiting for that estimate. We have not received that yet. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The applicant is here this evening from D.R. Horton as well, and I'm sure he has a presentation that he would like to present to you all. But if you have any questions of me or the manager, I'm happy to address those.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may also add, a sidebar for a second. As I'm sure Lynn said, we have not received the quote that we have asked a contractor that normally performs such services from us. We did walk it with them last week. We do not have that back. You all's pleasure, of course, but the applicant is here, or a representative of the applicant is here. It's my suggestion that you all consider postponing this 30 days until we have that back. Even though our engineers did approve based off of what they saw, it's one of those things, as Lynn explained, our liability. I would certainly rather perform the work that's going to be acceptable to those neighbors that it would cross, as well as at least us know what we're getting into instead of it being engineered speculation.
Okay. Any other questions for staff at this time?
I just want, if I may, sir, to follow up on what our town manager and Lynn said. I still am concerned, as Lynn pointed out, that this could be a year from now, 3 years from now, perhaps a little longer, and, hopefully, while inflation will not continue at the pace it is now, it's still always going to continue at some pace, and I just want to make sure the town is adequately covered so that when the decision is made where to place that sidewalk, that the funds will adequately be there to where the town doesn't have to step up and come up with the rest of the money, which is not the intent of our sidewalk UDO here. I think that the town in some way has to be responsible if fee in lieu of, and when it is done, the project is done currently or several years from now. So that's my biggest concern, and that's just something I did want to bring up for discussion perhaps.
Any other questions for Ms. Hare? Applicants here, you said? Okay, would you like to please state your name and sign in?
Good evening. I'm Tim Darrellak with D.R. Horton. Appreciate you having us this evening. As Lynn said, we've worked on this for a couple months. Unfortunately, as we got to the portion of installing sidewalk along Georgie Street from Massey up to Elliott, we had a surveyor out that took a look at the front yards in these sites, took some shots for us, and realized there's just a slope that goes down towards the front of these houses. There's a couple newer construction houses along there with driveways that are freshly poured there. And it just wasn't really possible to get a 5-foot sidewalk in there and then get it graded down without going significantly into these front yards of these neighbors. And so that's at the point that we kind of stepped back from it, talked with the town about potentially making a payment in lieu. And then after discussions with Ms. Hare, we kind of started talking about potentially rerouting that sidewalk. I think from our perspective, we were looking at areas maybe going up Massey Street to Wagner and on up Wagner until you make the connection up at, I think the sidewalk starts up at Powell Street is where the sidewalk starts, and then from there you head downtown. So in our minds, that would be a better use of the funds and resources to build that sidewalk up to there rather than up Georgie Street. The Georgie Street doesn't serve quite as much of a purpose. So certainly we're willing to entertain. We have added 5% onto the cost for inflation. We're willing to entertain or have a discussion about if it needs to be a different amount. We've not had anything suggested to us at this point, but certainly we're willing to entertain that. But we did go back and forth, I think, 3 times with West Consultants over the pricing and making sure that our contractor had provided pricing that would sufficiently cover construction should the town decide to build it along Georgie Street. But there is a lack of right-of-way along some of the frontage in there, so it would require right-of-way acquisition.
Makes sense. Any questions for, say your last name again, Dave Locke? Say your last name again.
Darrellak.
Darrellak.
Yep.
I would just like to add, this is a normal process. They have been very professional in making this request. My asking you all from the staff level to postpone, we are not in conflict. It's just trying to gather more information for the decision to be made is the reason I make the request.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're completely okay with that as well. I understand wanting to verify. We've had our contractor, which I think is a pretty good number, but I think having a bid on it or some more information is completely makes sense.
Well, unless council has a problem with it, I would think that we want to at least have a little bit more context around it. Mr. Darrellak, if you can give us at least the 30 days and let us get back to you on it.
We can do that,
All
absolutely.
right, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
And the other side, I think we need to be assured is how far we could get if we went to Massey to Wagner and where we could actually end up at with those dollars.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, plus there, we need state approval.
Yeah,
On
there you go.
that side.
That'd be a bigger issue.
All right. So we will, if I could, get a, I don't know, do we need a motion to postpone that to next month, Gary, you think? All right, good deal. Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comments. The public is invited to address the town council with comments or concerns. Public is limited to 3 minutes per individual. Speakers are required to sign in at the podium and adhere to Policy 51, titled Policy Governing Comments from the Public at Town Meetings. And we just ask folks to be civil. Anyone here from the public like to make any public comments this time? Okay. Hearing none. Hearing none, we will close the public comments. Believe we need to go back to item 20. Is that the correct item? Item 20 is for, I think we had a different position that we need to focus on.
I think in our records and discussions Monday, the persons whose name was actually mentioned for the ETJ appointment is actually a person that DRB is wanting to interview and consider for that board. The applicant that we had for the ETJ, her name was Natasha Sells.
Okay.
My apologies.
No
You're
worries.
exactly correct. That is who I had in mind, and I am sorry. Dealing with the DRB two, I got my names mixed up. My apologies. I will be glad to correct that motion if the board wishes and do
Yeah.
it correctly this time.
No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah, if you would, I was trying to figure out where that name came from. I thought I missed it, so I apologize. Yeah,
I've got that because we just had a meeting.
Yeah.
Thinking about
No.
that, and
I got it.
my apologies. But sales is who I had
yeah.
on mind, and
Okay,
so anyhow,
all right. So if we could, we'll, if you'll amend your motion to Natasha Sells.
Natasha Sales, yes, sir. I would like to amend my motion and nominate Natasha Sales to be recommended to the county commissioners for appointment to our planning and zoning board as an ETJ alternate. I believe I got everything
For 3 years,
stated there.
yep. Is there a second?
I will make that second again.
Okay, great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Thank you.
I wonder why there was crickets there for a while.
And I was like trying to look over at his paper. I wasn't trying to cheat or anything, but I'm like, he knows something I don't know.
I don't know
But-
how
I looked
that
at
got
Doc
in
and I didn't.
I don't know how that got my DRB file to over
Okay.
here. I
That's all
honestly
right.
don't.
And the clerk said something to the effect of, now everybody knows she's crazier than she really thought she was.
Oh, quite all right. Thank you. At this time, we'll do elected official comments. I'll start with council. Start to my left, Mr. Harris.
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is, as I did a few months ago with another business in town, is to recognize Sheets. I saw they got a 100% score on the restaurant inspection a couple weeks ago, and I think we were talking about how we like to see Troutman look good when people come in, and I think a place at that level, and they're cleaning restrooms and stuff, that also says a good thing about Troutman to have Sheets there, and so I just want to congratulate them for seeing it. I saw that in the paper the other day. The other thing I'd like to just mention is that this is a week that it's kind of it's sad, but it's also, I'm seeing my family grow. And the reason I came to Troutman when I retired from DuPont was my two grandchildren were here. And today I was at my granddaughter's 5th grade graduation, and tomorrow I'll be at my grandson's 8th grade from the middle school. So it's kind of been good, and so those kind of make me feel good of why I moved back to Troutman, to be near these children. Even though I was here many years ago as a little kid, to have my kids here is great. And then while I was at the graduation today, I'd like to put in a plug for Officer Lyons, our resource officer at the elementary school. He had a section where he picked the Lions Pride, and he did 2 out of all 4 classes of 2 students that fit the Lions Pride thing that he had put together. He gave them all nice little medals, and then and had a few good comments for them, and everybody just cheered. It was like, showed how proud those people were to have our resource officer at that school. I know we just had, the first year we've had one there, but he came across very well today and very good topic. So I just want to recognize him as how good he did.
Thank you. Ms. Harris?
Just first of all, congrats to the middle school ball team. I know how important baseball is to this town, as someone else mentioned. My son is an avid baseball player, so congrats to them. I'm glad to see them bring home that championship. Happy last day of school to the children on tomorrow. I hope they have a great, productive, and safe summer out here with plenty of things to do. Like George, I wanted to mention that Best Pizza has new owners. I love food, y'all know that, right? Josh and Shelly Mills, I think that's her last name. I can't remember the last name. But I told them, please do not change the recipe for the pizza. It's just, it's unique. So congrats to Josh and Shelly on the new ownership of Best Pizza. And that's it for me.
Last name is Mills.
McCoy, yes. Mills McCoy, that's her last name, yes. McCoy.
Maiden name Mills?
Maiden name is Mills.
There's a Shelley Mills that was a young child about my kid's age growing up in my neighborhood. I wonder if it's the same folks.
I wonder if she's from here. I'm not sure if she's from, she is. That's probably her.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mr. Now?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also would like to congratulate all our graduating students from the areas and wish them luck on their college or their careers, and also congratulate the parents and the families for helping them achieve their goal. And also would like to invite our residents next Friday night, I think it's June 16th, to our party in the park, 6 to 9.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see all our residents come out and support this event and kick off Father's Day weekend. Thank you.
Mr. Hinkle?
Kudos to what I've heard. Don't really have anything to add. Party in the park I'm looking forward to, and looking forward to getting some more pizza from Best Little Pizzas, new owners and so forth. So, and certainly Eddie and George recognized our young people into the school year and so forth, congratulating them, and I concur. And while it's been a while since I've been to school, I remember those days and remember them very fondly. So looking forward to the summer.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate a couple of things that I mentioned on Monday night. Did receive the thank you card from the mayor of the city of Conover for the assistance that we, through our fire department, provided the Conover Fire Department on March 9th during the funeral of their fire engineer, Ricky Allen. Again, they appreciate the support. I wanted to pass that on to Chief Morrison and his department. So again, thank them for doing that. Also received a thank you from Zion Wesley Amy Zion Church for wishes for attending the church service for their 145th church anniversary, which we recognized last month. Ms. Harris and myself was able to attend, and again, appreciate them sending over a thank you note for the proclamation on behalf of their historic landmark in our community. So again, great to have that, and also great to have our Citizen of the Year here tonight. I didn't know she had joined, started a new career, but thank you for that. It's amazing things that she does, and just never ceases to amaze me. I also had an opportunity this past week to visit our nation's capital, and a number of things that are happening up there, but one that was in the hearts and minds of folks, of course, is completion of the debt ceiling, and that cliff that everyone was talking about we will not be falling off of. And again, whether folks believe it was political theater or just a serious opportunity for us to consider what's going on in our country. I think it's important for folks to continue to know that there's still a lot of work being done. I know when we watch the news, it appears that it's all negative, but there are some positive things happening, both on a bipartisan way, and so I appreciate the time that our elected officials shared with me, and I was able to share with them about our small town. So again, we've had a change of elected officials over the years, but I had a chance to pretty much see all of them in one place. But it was a good opportunity to visit our nation's capital. I hope folks will take to heart the fact that these wildfires are causing folks in our community to have respiratory issues, and please be safe. I know we all wanted to get out of masks, but if you got the N95, if we continue through this summer with these poor air quality days, I would encourage people to wear your mask if you're outside. I know that's not a popular thing, but this is a little different in terms of the amount of particles that can get into your airway. So again, just want to encourage people to manage their own health. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Wyatt for any comments he and the staff have.
May I say one thing, sir? One of our representatives was the key integral negotiator in that cliff we almost fell
Yes.
off of,
Yes.
economically speaking. So thanking
Yes.
him for his service in that respect, because it would have been terrible if it had not, such as it is, agree or disagree. Economics is
That's right.
economics, reality is reality, and I'm glad they were able to get something worked out as one of our representatives was a key part of the negotiating team.
I would only add to your comment that the Speaker of the House stated that the North Carolina delegation has, I don't think there's another state with the amount of folks in leadership that our state has, and Congressman McHenry was probably the linchpin in ensuring that we didn't fall off that cliff. So it is being noticed. So.
Mary, can I say one more thing? I apologize. You mentioned the wildfires. I just wanted everyone to keep people in your thoughts and prayers. I know we're in our small town, but I was on an international board of directors call today, and one of the guys is in New Jersey, and he was just talking about how thick it is there and how they're having difficulty breathing and how he's just really struggling. His kid didn't go to school and things like that. Just continue to keep those people heavily affected in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to Parks and Rec Director, and we'll work our way down the table.
Thank you. So yes, the Party in the Park, next Friday, we have Lead Not Follow, a local group that will be performing. They've performed, well, I'll say local, they've performed locally a good bit, so they may be a group that you recognize. Lee Troutman, and you may know his daughter Amanda. She is an instructor at the rec facility up here, so they're known in the area. So hopefully they have a good following. Independence Day Parade, July 1st, still accepting entries and continuing to plan that. I did want to make note to the community that the ball fields at the park are closed for right now as we plant Bermuda grass and restore the condition of the fields. So we know it's an investment of time, and be a couple months and they'll be back and they'll be better. So started concession sales in the park concession stand this past Tuesday. Slow getting started a little bit the first day or two, just people recognizing that it's open. But yesterday I talked to him and he'd sold $160 worth of 50-cent candy. So you do the math on that. I don't know that that really is that slow. So between Tuesday and yesterday. So, so that's up and going. And also want to publicly thank the Lake Norman Exchange Club for leading the charge on the Walk of Heroes event. That was pretty cool to be a part of. So I was excited that they brought that to Troutman. So thank you.
All right, Public Works report time. So nothing really exciting for most people to report this month. Eddie, you weren't here last month, man. I mean, Jetter came in, we had it out there with a bow on it, champagne in front. You weren't here to crack it, so we'll bring it back sometime.
All right.
Do that, so,
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
It may smell different.
Just doing some summer right-of-way clearing, mowing. Guys are working hard on that. Doing a ton of taps, ton of meters getting set, growing like crazy. So everybody's aware of that. But everything's done on the water and sewer compliance side. Water's coming on and sewer's flowing the way it's supposed to, as far as I'm aware. And I think we're in good shape. So that's all I have, unless y'all have something for me.
That's good to hear.
All right, I think I said last month that it's that weird time of the year where you're working in one fiscal year, but you're looking at the next fiscal year. So that was my fault earlier on the audit contract, because I had fiscal year 24 in my head, but we've got to get fiscal year 23 audit done. So since we've got the fiscal year 24 budget voted and approved on, now we get to look backwards and, do the current year. So that's what me and my staff will be doing the next few weeks, is going through the humongous list that was emailed last week of everything that the auditor needs. So we'll be working on that, and that takes a lot of time, but that's okay. That's part of it, and look forward to a good audit report in a few months. So unless y'all have anything for me, I'll pass on the mic.
The planning department, with Adam, we're continuing to grow. The end of May, we had issued 480 permits for new construction in Troutman, which is a lot. We're currently reviewing plans for several commercial developments. I know this is something that the town has really been asking for, but we're starting to see some commercial development. We've got the North Fork Business Park, which you all approved a couple months ago or beginning of the year. We're reviewing plans there, and I think they do have some tenants for those buildings. We're getting close to having the Food Lion Shopping Center plans approved, so hopefully they'll be starting construction sometime this summer, into the summer, fall. Curtis Dental, there'll be a new dental office up off of Julian Place, and then there's an O'Reilly Auto Parts that we approved their DRB, Design Review Board architectural renderings this evening. But we are reviewing those plans and expect them to start construction soon. So we are starting to see some commercial developments come to us. We also have a group called Caruso Homes. I don't know if you all are familiar with these home sales lots. There's one on 77 in Mooresville. I think it's Schumacher Homes. This is a group that does something similar, where they actually build a couple of their houses for model homes, so people can come to their site. So they're looking to do one of those here in Troutman near 77, actually at Julian Place as well. That has to go before the Board of Adjustments for approval for special use permit. So they are going through that process. We also have received a conditional zoning request. It's been a quiet year with rezoning, so I was a little shocked when we saw this one, that MI Homes is going to bring a request before you all in the next couple months for a subdivision off of Autumn Leaf. This is a piece of property that D.R. Horton had looked at previously, and they decided to withdraw the application. So they are looking to bring that to you all. It's about 91 homes. And then we did hold our first planning open house. We did that on May the 23rd. It was not well attended. We had about 7 people there, which I'm hoping is a good start. But we did get some positive feedback. The people that were there said they learned a lot. They appreciated it. We took the opportunity to really talk about, with the few people that were there, about what our development process is. How do projects get approved in town, and just tried to share that information with them. The whole planning department was there. Andrew came. He talked about transportation. Shane was there. So we talked about code enforcement. So I felt like we were able to relay a lot of good information. So this is something we will plan on doing again, hopefully in the fall. But we will continue to do that and be there to answer those questions and just continue to share that information with the community. And as you all know, I'm not sure I mentioned this last month because I know we were wrapping it up in May, but we did hold the Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment trainings and got that completed in the last couple months. So that's about it. So.
Lynn, may I ask you, the Board of Adjustment, did they meet this afternoon?
They meet next week.
It's next week.
For the month of May, the police department, our calls for service, we saw a 15% increase as compared to April. Also a 27% increase in the number of incident investigation reports we took, and there was a 76% increase from April in the number of arrests. That's not to reflect that there is a rise in crime in Troutman. As I talked about the officers earlier, they're becoming very, very proactive when they're able to, as we've added more people. So as they stop vehicles, they're coming across more narcotics, wanted people, stolen property, detecting more crime. Some of our officers took a break-in report one night, got good information. 2 hours later, while they were on patrol, they happened to locate one of the vehicles, start talking to the people, and found out where the other suspect vehicle were, and made 3 arrests on a felony break-in and entering, and closed the case out within 2 hours, and were able to recover all of the person's property from the house that was broken into. So our officers, continue to be busy. We also, during May, we had the Red and Blue 5K, the kickball event, and a community meet and greet that was held at Colonial Crossing in partnership with Bethel Baptist Church. Asked us to come out there for that. But that's really all we got from the police department. Unless anybody has any questions.
Mine will be fairly short. Adam left out part of his just to make everybody aware. We've got sewer inspections going on now. That is a company that is contracted to go, and we're surveying all the sewer lines with a camera to make sure what condition they're in, and recording their exact locations as the technology that was available when many of them were installed. It was more likely close by, but now it's making sure that it's GIS specific. We met today with our neighbors and hope to have something happening soon on the freshwater connection with our line there with the city of Statesville. Also on code enforcement, we've got 3 houses I've spoke with the code enforcement officer about that we've waited long enough and to begin aggressively with condemnation. Some of these folks are unrealistic on what somebody else would pay for a house that's uninhabitable. One has a unique set of circumstances with it. However, that still does not change the responsibility overall to the community and the neighbors to be at least adequate instead of an abandoned property that is not in code. The last thing I would like to say, and I'm going to get in trouble for, because of our employees, these do not like to be singled out. But as we was talking about baseball, last evening there were several town employees went up to North Iredale and watched young Watson and his co-teammates on the 9 and 10-year-olds win the county championship for baseball there too. I was going to surprise him and aggravate him when he was here, but when he saw an opportunity of escaping, he left with his sister to abandon his parents here to deal with us. But we did have another champion, and it really tickled me to be there and watch the TYAA team from Troutman win in that age bracket.
Good stuff.
I was asking if he wanted to mention, well, Lynn might want to mention this. This was her project. The 3rd grade visit yesterday. It went really well. They rotated from station to station. I had to leave a little early because of the rain, so each class missed 1 station in the rotation. But I think they all had a real good time.
Good, good. And what's the schedule for them coming in? Just once? Is it once a year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's usually the last week
Last
or
week.
week before the school year is over, after their end of grade testing is done.
Good.
Unfortunately, this year they chose to go back to the school instead of enjoying our facilities for a picnic lunch, but They were very loud, so I assume that meant they had a good time.
Good, good. Well, I know some kids go to like Carowinds.
Correct. Some of them was on the jetter, treating it just like a ride at Carolyn.
Good, all right, awesome. Thank you. Any other comments for staff? Okay. No?
In honor of my two graduating grandchildren, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? You're welcome to stay. And Michael will turn off the camera, but we'll leave the lights on.
My babies are growing up.